Hello, everybody, and welcome to Why PD Sucks and What to Do About It. Really important topic because PD, when it's done well, really can make a difference. It can improve teacher practice, can help improve student outcomes, but we've all been stuck in PD sessions that feel like this. So today, we're going to explore what we can do as educators to take these experiences and transform them into something that feels a little bit more like that. Before we dive in, just a couple of frequently asked questions. There will be a recording available, so if you want to watch it 100 times obsessively, you are free to do that. Also in the chat, there's a link to all of the resources, so please feel free to check those out as I knock this mysterious buzzer off of the table. Also, behind the curtain is the one and only Robin. Robin, would you like to say hello to everybody?
Thanks for joining us today.
She did want to say hello. I'd also like to say thanks to our sponsor, vaieducation.org, who has generously allowed us to have a big giveaway. In fact, several big giveaways at the end of this webinar, so stick around to check that out. All right, our agenda today, the way we're going to address this is by, first of all, exploring the problems. We're going to talk about why PD sometimes goes awry. Then we're going to look at the solutions from two different perspectives. First of all, we're going to look at it from the perspective of a participant, right? If you get stuck in a bad PD, what can you do about it? Then we're going to look at it in terms of providers. If you're in charge of making PD arrangements, what can you look for and what questions can you ask to make sure that your PD experience is going to be awesome? Speaking of teachers and administrators, I'm curious who is here. There is a survey that Robin's going to pop up. If you don't mind filling that out, just let us know what your role is. Are you more of a teacher? Are you more of an administrator? Are you kind of in between or something else entirely? Robin's going to leave that open for just a couple more seconds, and then we'll find out the answer to our question. All right, Robin, hopefully they've had a chance to fill out their surveys. If you want to reveal the answers and let us know who is here, that would be spectacular.
All right, so we have a great mix. So we have 40% teacher, 40% admin, and 20% either or.
All right, and we're going to try to offer a little something for everybody today. So hopefully you'll walk away with some great ideas that are helpful to you. All right, back to that agenda. We are going to finish by letting the cat out of the box with a big surprise. So make sure that you stick around and check that out. Along the way, there will be a game show coming up in just a couple of seconds. We will make book recommendations. We're going to have a really good time. So let's get going. We're going to start by talking about those problems. And instead of just talking about them, we're going to play about them. We have got an exciting version of the hit game, The Feud. It used to be Family Feud. And I'd like to welcome in a couple of my colleagues. Give a nice round of applause to Jamie and Michael. Come on down. I'm mixing my game shows just a little bit here. But Jamie and Michael, we have gotten some feedback from 100 teachers. We identified some common themes. Buzz on in if you think you know how they answered this question. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Ready. What sucks most about PD? We're going to go with Jamie first of all. All right, Jamie, what sucks most about PD?
It's boring.
All right, survey says show me boring. Very good. 29 respondents. Outstanding. All right, you do not want to have PD like this. Dull subject, dull presentation. If teachers look like this, then they're not going to be learning. All right. We're going to take turns here because that's what we do. We're going to hand it over to Mr. Michael. Mr. Michael, what do you think? What sucks most about PD?
How about like when they don't practice what they preach? You know, like they're giving you a lecture about how bad lectures are.
Let's see. They don't practice what they preach. Oh, very good. Hypocritical. Michael is on the board with 12. That's right. If you're going to do a session on outdoor ed, you can't put it deep in an underground bunker. All right, since we're taking turns, it's back to Jamie.
I just like hitting the buzzer.
You don't have to hit the buzzer.
The one size fits all approach.
Okay, show me one size fits all. Oh, very good. Restrictive. It's on the board. We don't want to take that one size fits all. There's lots of different ways to be an awesome teacher and lots of different challenges in education. So that restrictive approach just doesn't work. It sucks. All right, Michael, your turn.
How about it's just impractical?
Show me impractical. Good answer. Good answer. Impractical. Very good. Maybe sometimes it's too theoretical. Maybe it just doesn't take into account the workloads that teachers have to contend with these days. Impractical PD is no good. All right, 2 left on the board. Jamie, what do you got?
Just because I'm going to go when I don't feel supported.
Oh, when it's unsupported?
Yes.
It's on the board. Very good. Unsupported. Give a nice round of applause. You can't have a PD about cutting edge technology if you don't have the technology to cut edges with. Right? There have to be resources that support implementation of the ideas that are being shared. And for the win, last chance, Michael.
Then on this last one, I'm going to go, how about totally irrelevant for what I actually need?
What do you think out there in the audience? Show us irrelevant. Oh, good. Okay, give a nice round of applause to both of our contestants. You may both see yourselves off the stage. We do not want our PD to be irrelevant, right? Those fish who are living underwater don't need fire safety 101. PD has got to be addressed to the specific needs that a staff is encountering. So our participants did an excellent job. Those are the top 6 things, top 6 themes that are no good about PD, according to the 100 teachers we asked. Now, while they go off the stage, we'll just give you some gentle good humor in the form of a couple of memes about teacher professional development. A little holiday theme there with some high elf humor. And then we are going to move on from the problems and start addressing the solutions. So again, we're going to look at this from 2 perspectives. First, we're going to talk about it from the perspective of a participant. What can you do if you get stuck in a bad PD? I recognize that most of the onus for the quality of a PD is on the presenter. I work hard in professional development all the time to make it enriching, to make it enjoyable, to make it useful. But if you do happen to end up in one that's less than optimal, there've got to be some things that you can do to help it be a more enjoyable and a more useful situation. So I'm going to share a couple of solutions with you, recognizing that this is not the best case scenario. Right? This might be a little bit of an impossible task, but we're going to do the best we can, because if we can walk out with even one good idea, we can add those up over the course of our career and really make a difference. So if you're stuck in a bad PD, one thing I love to do is love, wonder, and sparks. Certainly, I'm going to be looking for ideas I love. Try and find a couple of great kernels of excellence in the midst of all of that less than excellent stuff. But also use it as an opportunity to ask some questions or to go off on a tangent and have your creativity sparked. Looking for all 3 of those can help you find some use, even if it's a difficult thing to do. Another great strategy I call the what if strategy. It's named after this incredible book by Randall Munroe. That's my book recommendation. Go out and check it out. All sorts of interesting science and math. But it's related to a topic that I used to have, or a situation I used to have quite frequently when I was in the classroom. Right? Teachers quite frequently will go up to a student and ask them a question, and the student will look kind of like that and say, I don't know. Right? And so what I would do is I would say, hey, pretend that you did know. Just imagine that you did know the answer. What would happen then? Imagine you were somebody who knew the answer. What would that person say? And sometimes just that little bit of imagination was all that it took to turn that situation around and get the student to respond, which of course made me really happy as an educator. Well, you can do the same thing if you get stuck in a bad PD. You can say, what if I was somebody who was finding this useful? What would that use be? And sometimes it's just that little shift in thinking that it takes to really find some utility in the classroom. Also, I love taking the pressure off and saying, all I need to do is find a tiny little bit of goodness here. So I'm just going to do 140 characters of the most useful takeaway from this session. Taking that pressure off you to find all sorts of great ideas and just find something positive you can take away. You can use the boomerang strategy to hold yourself accountable for putting that into practice. Just schedule yourself an email. This email can come back to you at some point in time in the future. So you're talking to your future self to say, hey, remember that good idea from that PD session? PD session wasn't so great, but we had that one idea. Did you put it into practice? Check in with that future self and see if you can hold yourself accountable for putting those ideas into practice. And I think my favorite one, loving a lot of the generative AI tools that are out there, like ChatGPT. If you get stuck in a bad session, you can ask it to help you make some positive connections. In fact, in your HyperDoc, I've got a prompt that you can copy and paste into a generative AI program like ChatGPT. Or if you prefer, I built a little chat bot for you. When we're done, not right now, but when we're done, you can check out the slides, scan this in, or there's a link in the HyperDoc, and it will ask you some questions and guide you through a conversation, connecting what you do as a professional with whatever bad PD you are caught in. All right, so I recognize that that is not the best case scenario. Getting stuck in a bad PD is not ideal, but I do hope some of those ideas resonated with you. So Robin's going to open up this second poll, and she's going to give you a chance to say which of those did you think were at least somewhat useful ideas. Go ahead and fill in anything that you want. You can check more than one if more than one appealed to you. We'll give you just a couple of seconds to fill that out, and then we'll see which of those you were intrigued by.
All right, Ben, they're still coming in. I'll give it about 5 more seconds and we'll call it.
Sounds great. Get those final answers locked in. All right, what do we see, Robin?
Right. So it looks like all of these are going to be helpful. The leader is you, me, and GPT, followed by Boomerang and Love, Wonder, Sparks. They're at 40%, and What If is at 40%, and at 20% is Twit-It.
Thanks for filling that in. I love that idea of using generative AI in all sorts of different ways. Some of the best PD we do is built around helping teachers make good use of AI, and you can even use it if you get stuck in a bad PD session. All right, so that's looking at it from that perspective of the participant. If you're a teacher or if you're at a conference and you get stuck in a session that's less than ideal, what can you do? But most of our content here today is going to be about trying to avoid those situations in the first place. What can you do? What questions can you ask to make sure that professional development is of high quality? And then the surprise. Now, I speak to this from experience. I've been doing PD for a long time, and when I was just getting started, I was really good at talking about ideas. But that does not make a great professional development. I didn't find that when I followed up with teachers, they were implementing the ideas that we discussed, or that they were finding that they were improving the performance of their students. It was a frustrating situation until I came to this building right here. That's a wonderful group of weirdos who work there, who I'm privileged to work with right now at the Van Andel Institute for Education. It's a not-for-profit group, super mission-oriented, and they showed me some incredible ideas that I'm now able to put into practice to actually provide solutions to teachers, to actually feel like when we walk away from a PD session, that it's going to move the needle on student understanding. The key here is all built around treating teachers like professionals and recognizing what it's like to be in their shoes in a PD session. So when you are going out there looking for professional development, there's a checklist that we have put together that you can use. You can ask questions built out of each one of these to make sure that your PD doesn't suck. So think about these as some standards that any provider really ought to be able to meet. And you can build that checklist out of those things that teachers really don't like and don't benefit from with regard to professional development. So we're going to we're going to change each one of those into one of those items on the checklist. Let's start off with impractical. Instead of impractical, I bet you can guess what's coming next. We want our professional development to be practical. Now, what does that mean? I tell you what it doesn't mean. Quite often I'd walk into a PD and I would see somebody with a really nice suit, and you can't see it, but he's got really nice shoes. He's got the Britney Spears headset, and he has never taught a day in his life, and it shows right away. Or maybe he did 1 year in the class, 1 year in admin, and then straight to the curriculum company. right? And this shows itself in a couple of key ways. This guy emphasizes theory over practice. It's about ideas without grounding them in the experience of the classroom. A lot of times those ideas sound good, but they just don't work. And quite frequently, they deal in absolutes, right? They say, we're never going to give any homework ever, or we are only going to use restorative justice all the time, right? They deal in these absolutes, and as we all know, that is a path to the dark side, right? Teaching practice deals in those gray areas and solving challenges, and it's important that a PD provider be able to speak to that. So I am really privileged to be able to work with students on a regular basis every day. We've got kids in our building so that all of the people who we have working on Teacher PD have that experience of working with students. A PD provider should have some way to make sure that they're testing their ideas out. So I love to think about going out and working with students as a strategy laboratory where I can see what is really working with today's students in the classroom. Also, I'm privileged to be able to go around and work with lots of different staffs around the country so that I can find the best ideas, find what's really working with teachers and working with students, and share those best ideas out with the teachers we work with. All right, so first of all, ask your PD provider, hey, do your presenters, do your facilitators have classroom experience? How much? How recent? Do they still get a chance to put this stuff into practice? How do you know it works? Next, instead of boring, we want PD to be engaging. If learners aren't engaged, that learning is not going to stick. So we're not talking here about just throwing a bad icebreaker in front of a dull PD. Right? Doing a little awkward interpretive dance at the front or playing two truths and a lie does not convert professional development into this rich experience. It's great to have fun. In fact, it's important to have fun. We want teachers to be laughing. We want them to be moving. We want them to be smiling. But it's got to be connected to the content we're learning about. So if we're doing inquiry science, you're going to be learning things about the universe in a hands-on way. Right? One of my favorite little strategies is this make a mascot challenge. You see those teachers in the middle, building a mascot which represents metaphorically the ideas that we're learning about. It's fun. They laugh, they smile, but they have really rich conversations about the content that we're exploring. And quite often it brings something to light that wouldn't have been brought otherwise. So it's a wonderful way to get them cognitively engaged. Speaking of cognitively engaged, PD should be innovative, right? This should not be things that teachers already know. So one of my favorite PDs is about student motivation, because we're able to bring some really high-level insights from the world of psychology and make them practical and grounded in the teacher's experience. And we're going to be doing that learning in ways that are innovative. So you might see some fire or some drones, right? Or some high-level microscopes. We want to make sure that we're engaging teachers intellectually by being innovative. And we've got to be collaborative, right? Our brains are built to learn collaboratively with each other. And so every 10 to 15 minutes, we want to make sure, I always make sure to give teachers a chance to stop and process together, right? That helps to deepen understanding, and it makes it so much more fun. So we want our PD to be practical. We want it to be engaging. Also, we don't want it to be irrelevant and restrictive. We want it to be relevant and flexible. A lot of the PD that I attended that was no good would share an awesome idea or tool. And people would walk out of there saying, this is the way. But in education, quite often, if we just have one tool, we encounter situations where that is not the right tool for the job. Right? That bolt does not work well with that tape measure, or that nail does not work well with that tape measure. So great PD provides teachers with a wide array of different ways to address the challenges they face in the classroom, because there's not just one way to be a great teacher. So we trust teachers to be able to use their professional judgment to choose from amongst those tools and to select the one that's the right tool for the job. So your PD provider should be able to talk about how they're going to give options for teachers about how they could address the challenges the professional development is built around. One way I love to do this is through strategy explorations. So I give teachers the opportunity to explore a wide range of different solutions to the challenge we're facing. So if they're learning about, say, assessment and feedback, there are just dozens of different ways to help improve assessment and feedback in your classroom. We let teachers look at a variety of them, to select the ones that resonate with them, to discuss those with their colleagues, and then to walk out with ideas that they're excited about implementing in their classrooms. Another way to be flexible is to make sure that you customize your content to your specific needs. Before a PD, I always talk with the school so I understand what their specific needs are. I've got tons of different ways to address these challenges, and so we can pick and choose based on what the school really needs and customize it to fit those needs specifically. And of course, it's got to be flexible to fit your schedule. I know that time is tight in schools these days, and there are lots of different structures that schools have for their professional learning. So I need to be flexible in order to make sure that we can meet those needs. When it comes to unsupportedness, obviously we want to make sure that professional development is supportive. I've walked out of lots of PDs with a great new idea that I'm excited about launching, and then I've run into the everyday realities of the classroom. I know how that works. I know how that happens. And so I think it's incredibly important that professional developers don't do one and dones. I've got a background in coaching. That is me winning the state championship. Go Cougars. And I bring that same mentality to PDs. I think that's incredibly important. So if a teacher is trying to bring these ideas to life and they need a resource, they might not have time to build that themselves. And so I can go and do that for them. Having somebody come alongside you as you're making a change in your practice is so incredibly valuable. Spend a lot of time making community connections so that schools can leverage all the expertise that exists in their school community to help improve student learning. So having that coaching component is super valuable. Even if you need a song, I will write you a little song that you can share with your students. If you want to hear the homework hustle, send me an email, let me know. I've found a lot of success with affinity networks. I think this is a really powerful idea. I'm the leader of the network of eccentric educators. So teachers who want to take a little different perspective on pressing issues that face education these days can come together and can learn from each other. It's a wonderful way to offer some support. In fact, we're going to give away some free registrations for our affinity networks coming up soon. And last but not least, we don't want our PD to be hypocritical. So it's important that your PD provider practice what they preach. Here, we're thinking about being immersive, right? Modeling the kind of learning that the PD is about. We want to give teachers the chance to take off their teacher hat and to put on their student hat and to really experience what it's like to learn that way, so they can empathize with their students and so that they can reflect on their own professional practice. So if we're learning about inquiry instruction, you are going to be doing some inquiry learning. If you're learning about differentiation, I'm going to introduce you to my friend Tim Tody and learn what engineering has to teach us about differentiating in a way that's deep and simple. If you're learning about authentic instruction, we are going to use the relevant elephant, one of the most powerful elephants in the field of differentiation, in the field of authenticity, right? We've got to show, to model the kind of teaching that we want teachers to do when we are in professional development. So when you think about your PD experiences, where do you feel that need the most intensely? Robin, you can open that poll up. You can certainly choose more than one of these if you feel that those are needs for you or for your school. Give them just a little while to fill those in.
All right, they're still coming in pretty quick here, so I'll give it about 5 more seconds.
Wonderful.
All right, closing it out. All right, looks like some areas need some improvement, but we at 63% relevant and flexible, followed by supportive and practical at 53%, engaging at 47%, and immersive at 42%.
Wonderful. And I find that to be the key, that relevance and flexibility, showing teachers lots of different ideas instead of taking that one size fits all approach is so powerful. It's such a shift from so much of the PD that I have done in my life, right? There's lots of great ways to be a teacher. Your professional development should recognize that reality. Such a powerful key. All right, so you've got a great checklist there. Any PD provider should be able to talk in a way that inspires your confidence about how they're going to make their PD practical, engaging, relevant, flexible, supportive, and immersive, full of modeling of the kind of work that they are teaching you about. Now, I left that elephant up there on the board because there is an elephant in the room today when it comes to professional development, and that is cost. Schools operate on a tight budget. And it was really frustrating to me when I was trying to, spend my own money to buy a little extra string or a little extra duct tape. And the professional developer would roll up in the Mercedes Benz. And we had this high paid consultant who was here to do PD, especially if that PD sucked. So I do promise that we are going to be an affordable option at the Van Andel Institute for Education. I pull up in chat to all of my PD opportunities here. It is a little rusty. It does have a headlight out, but we've got lots of great stuff inside of it. They're going to create an experience that teachers find valuable and enjoyable. Right? We're going to make sure that it's customized to meet their needs, that we're flexible to meet the demands that the school, the requirements the school has. And I love this, that we support that PD in a sustained way, that it's not just a one and done, but that we provide instructional resources and especially that coaching support in order to make sure that the PD actually is awesome, that it actually does transform and shift what happens in the classrooms. We've been doing this for a long time and have really developed a model that works successfully. The proof, of course, is in the eating. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. We want it to be enjoyable and we want teachers to learn things. And over the last couple of years, we always give that survey at the end. We've got some great results. Teachers enjoy the PD that we do with them. Teachers learn from it. We always give an assessment of how well they understood certain learning objectives before and after the session on a 5-star scale. And again, you can see there that there is growth, there is development of understanding, right? This is an important and valuable approach to professional development. And I love to be able to connect with schools and to feel that we're having a positive impact on the teachers and on the students. All right, it is time for the final surprise. The cat is coming out of the box, coming out of the bag. We are going to reveal that today, everybody who is in attendance, or even if you're watching the video, you can win free professional development. No purchase necessary, not doing a drawing, free professional development for you. There's a survey that's going to pop up at the end. If you fill that survey out and let us know what you need, we'll connect with you and arrange for an hour of PD for your school, 100% for free. So you get a PD and you get a PD. Everybody gets some great free professional development because it's not about the money. It's about the mission. It's about making a difference. Anything that we can do to help, we definitely want to make sure that we do, because we believe that teachers have the most important job in the world, and anything that we can do to support the incredible work that they do is work that we value incredibly highly. So thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you for your time today, and hopefully I look forward to connecting with you and your school for some free professional development. Have a wonderful day, everybody.